Hello friends, today the article which we are analyzing is published on Hindu July 2nd. The title of the article is Reforming India's Digital Policy. It is written by Mark Linscott and he is a former assistant US Trade representative. So this article is mapped as per this model where ABC 3 points are contained. Now C is the point covering the background of the article. So we know that due to this COVID situation, globally the economic condition is precarious, and in almost all country economic growth has plunged, and foreign direct investment also decreasing because there is no investment urge because of this COVID-19 situation and falling economic condition. And in Asian economies, this FDI has dropped by almost 45%. So here we see there is a movement from A to B, and this movement talks about US, US India and their relationship in the field of digital service. So in this COVID-19 situation where the economic growth has plunged, the only one sector where we see the growth is happening, and that growth is happening in the field of digital services. This is the one area, one sector of the economy which is not affected by this global pandemic. So what are the things covered in digital services? Digital services, all kind of digital activity, particularly e-commerce and different services, are part of digital services. So digital services enable access to and delivery of wide array of product across multiple sectors, from healthcare to retail distribution to financial services. So this digital services contain wide array of product and in different sector. Particularly, you know that retail, e-commerce business, healthcare, education, financial services, all these things are coming under the digital services. And in 21st century, for all economy, this is becoming a critical sector for any 21st century economy. And in India, it has a huge potential for homegrown innovative startups because of increasingly digitalized population, and because the potential, and since this sector was not affected by global pandemic, investment in digital services continue to flow at a record level globally, outpacing investment in nearly every other sector. So this is the sector where investment is still going on, and it is not affected by global pandemic. And since investment is happening, FDI is coming, India is in an ideal place for increasing FDI flow in the digital service sector. So here we see that digital service sector of the economy is not affected by global pandemic compared to other sector of the economy which got severely affected. And since it is not affected and India has got the huge potential, this sector is drawing lot of foreign direct investment. And this sector, digital service sector, has a huge potential for innovation and homegrown startup, because increasingly in India people are getting digitally literate. In that context, what are the policy measure government has to take so that India can reap the benefit of digital services. So, key to attract a new investment, foster innovation, expand export, create ecosystem to achieve objective of 5 trillion economy. There are certain policy reform which need to be taken up, like personal data protection bill, e-commerce policy, the information technology act amendment. These are the bills, these are the reforms pending. For that purpose, government is working now, but the what author is saying, the approach regarding these reform is to protect domestic market for domestic company and prioritizing government access to data. So in these policy measures, the approach of the government is to reserve this domestic market for domestic companies and protect the data and prioritize for government access. So this is somehow in contradiction with other goals like data privacy, encouraging FDI, position of global leader, in making India's position as a global leader in IT. That is, the author is making an argument that if we confine the sector for domestic company only and will prioritize the government access to data, then somehow it is compromising the data privacy and it is not encouraging the FDI, and this way it is affecting the India's desire to become a global leader in IT. So this is the relation author has made here. In that context, India-US relationship also author has spoken about. So what author is saying, that there is an uncertainty in the relationship between India and US related to trade relationship. There is a uncertainty because the reason is there are new restrictions are being imposed because of this COVID situation and for other various regions. And in this line, there is still negotiation on bilateral trade agreement going on, and that has to be concluded. And this digital service tax, and for that reason, this US has is just initiated a Section 301 review of whether digital service tax in 10 countries constitute unfair trade measure, including India's equalization levy. So this Section 301 and digital service tax, because some European countries, they are trying to impose tax on digital services. So regarding that thing, some review is going on in USA under Section 301. So these are the things happening between India and US, and somehow these things are affecting the US India relationship in the field of digital service. So what author is basically making a point here, that India has a huge scope in the field of digital services, and in this area the pending reforms has got the approach which is not helping India to encourage more FDI or helping India to become global leader in IT, because the approach is limited to domestic market or giving priority to government access to data. And since US is global leader in the field of digital services, the relationship between US and India is also need to be worked out, because there are certain uncertainty is there, and India's planning to tax or restriction, all these things are affecting the digital service sector of the economy, particularly the investment from US on this sector. So this concludes the analysis of first article. The second article which we are analyzing today is How Not to Tame the Digital Dragon. It is written by Apar Gupta and published on same July 2nd. Apar Gupta is a lawyer and executive director of, of the Internet Freedom Foundation. So this article, the context of this article is a recent ban on Chinese app. So what is the implication of this ban on legal and democratic norm? So in that context, we are analyzing this article. So in any civilized society, there are legal and democratic norms. For any modern state, these are the norms which it is supposed to follow. The principle of legality is inherent to a republic that is governed by law, not, not the whims of powerful individuals in high offices. It is the hallmark of democracy that laws are validly enacted and do not violate fundamental rights. So, what are the legal and democratic norms for any modern state? If we see in the context of digital field, earlier cases where some websites were taken down, so we see that for any step in the field of digital sector, or for that reason, any decision to ban something, there should be some pre-decisional hearing. That means the government which, if government is planning to ban any website, here we are talking in the field, in the context of ban on Chinese app. So mostly we are confining ourselves to the digital sector. So if any ban is to be planned for any website or any app, there should be some pre-decisional hearing. That means the party which is going to affected the digital sector, that has to be given hearing before deciding to ban it, and this whole procedure should be transparent, and with all due diligence this process should be conducted. And in that context, any order, if government issue that legal order, that should be publicized for people in general and the company which got affected in particular, to come to know that what are the reasoning behind closure of any website or any app. Because this disclosure of legal order, we can see in earlier many court judgment that this process court insists, because this process is required, because the aggrieved party should be given a opportunity to defend itself, and this will be only possible when the legal order is given, so that a legal remedial measure will be made available to the aggrieved party. And in that context, the concern, mostly the top two concern of government, is privacy and data protection. And to understand or to know or explore whether investment or operational control of any digital entity pose any cyber security threat to the nation or not. So this is the two concern mostly any government has regarding any digital platform or digital content provider. So what author is saying that government should take a legislative or institutional approach to solve this problem. Means the concern of the genuine concern of the government should be covered in the legislation, and to find out whether any violation happened or not should have an institutional approach, not whim or fancy of anyone. So this is the basic background what we see, that in any any modern state should have this kind of legal and democratic norm to deal with any issue, particularly in the field of digital entities. In that context, we know that recently there is a ban on 59 apps. These apps falls in different categories and made by different developers. This was a sudden move because no pre-decisional hearing has been conducted, and announcement of this ban was made through press release only, because there is no legal order published or publicly made available, as the author says. And the ground of banning these apps also not clear and not examined or debated. And since this legal order is not made available to the aggrieved party, legal remedies are also not possible. And author questioned the grouping, the basis of grouping of these assorted apps, because these apps concern with different things, and on what basis those groupings of 59 apps was done. And if argument is made that it is based on threat from China, that's why this emergency basis this was done. But author says, if that is the case, then why China is not mentioned? So these are the questions raised by author, because for any democratic or legal society or legal state, or as per author, these are not right practices. Because what is right practices, already we discussed here earlier, that there should be pre-decisional hearing, everything should be conducted transparently but following due diligence and due process, and it should be in the form of legal order which can be challenged. So all these legal and democratic norm, as per author, was violated in the case of banning 59 apps. So this is the uh, argument made by author here, that all our genuine concern regarding Chinese app can be met if we have a legislative or institutional approach. That means if all our concern, if we have a law which deal with these concern, then we can, by using that law, we can deal with this situation. And for identifying these reasoning, we should have an institutional approach. So author is saying that for dealing such kind of situation, we should do this thing through a legislative approach with the backing of institutional process. It should not be based on whim and fancy of someone. So this conclude my second analysis of second article.